Hello and welcome to our employer masterclass session from the Changing Education Group. This is an opportunity for employers to give you, the students, a real insight into their world of work. My name is Amos Madri, your host and careers advisor here at the Changing Education Group. Joining me today is Jemina Legaspi, who's a Filipino filmmaker raised in the Middle East. She started a promising career in film production well before earning her degree in media industries and technology from Northwestern University. Jemina is also attended. She also attended producing and filmmaking courses at the renowned National Film and Television School in the UK and obtained a producing certificate from London Film Academy. Having the ability to integrate the creative process and meticulous technical planning in her filmmaking practice, Jemina has led several award-winning films and projects for reputable companies such as Interpol, Netflix, Puma, Chevrolet, Vodafone, and Qatar Airways. Production management aside, she's also an Arden Academy trained stop motion creator who hopes to channel her passion for storytelling in bringing to light the stories of children worldwide through animation. How good does that sound? How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Amos.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's great to have you here. I believe you're live in Qatar.
Yes, I'm live in Qatar. It's 5:30 at the moment,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's hot, but luckily we have
I
air
can
conditioning.
imagine. Yeah. What's the temperature? 50 degrees Celsius? Oh,
Last week it was almost 50 degrees. It was actually 47. Uh,
wow.
yeah, but it's a bit better this week. We're in 30s, so
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And I'm here complaining about 21 degrees Celsius, thinking, we're having a heat wave. How do you deal with that heat? How even just going outside with the air because it's quite humid and warm, isn't it?
I think my body's just used to it, especially, even during the summer, sometimes we film in the middle of the desert.
Hmm.
So yeah, my body's just accustomed to it by now.
Yeah. So, your story's so interesting, and there's, I don't know where to even begin because there's so many things that you've done. Tell us a little bit about yourself from that 16-year-old to where you are today.
So at the moment, I'm working as a film producer at this company called The Film House, which is based here in Doha, Qatar. And I graduated around 5 years ago from Northwestern University. I actually started as an intern at this company, and then they saw great potential in me, and so right after graduating, they offered me a position. So that was a great start for me. I always thought I'd work in production management, but later down the line, because I've always been passionate about animation, I was like, you know what, I want to explore more of my creative side, but less so in live action, but more in animation. So that's what I did. And that's why I took a course at Aardman Academy as well, which was a great experience, specifically in stop motion, because I also love being on set. I love the idea of, collaborating with people. You can't really make films without any kind of collaboration. And I think that's the beauty in it, the fact that you can put so many brains together and you guys get to create something together. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm enjoying it. I'm doing some animation stuff on the side. Yeah, I just love storytelling, so do whatever I can to keep going.
I mean, you've summed that up quickly, but there's so much that you've done. It's incredible. I mean, when I even just think about stop motion, the time it takes just to put that together,
Yeah.
talk to us about the process. How long does it take to put a 2-minute clip together?
So for my course, actually, I had to create. Well, it was up to me as to how long the film was going to be. I wanted it to be around a minute, and my mentor was like, let's be realistic here because you only have a few weeks to do this. And because I had to come up with my puppets, I had to do the props. Um, and Based on my calculations, I'd say it usually takes me around 4 to 5 hours to come up with a 10 second, just with 10 seconds. And that's the perfect go as well. Like, you know, if ever I made any mistakes, I'd start from the beginning. And so again, it's like back to first second. And, you know, 4 hours later, here I am with 10 seconds. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, you definitely need to be meticulous. You need to be patient. There's so much attention to detail required in that because the audience will pick it, and it's. I'm sure you've got the most critical eye compared to everybody else watching it. And you know, when I think about stop motion as well, it seems that there's this revival coming from it. You know, it's you know, CGI is great. It's great that we have all these graphics and these different visuals that are coming through, whether it's Marvel or whatever it is. But it seems that people want to go back to the traditional ways of doing things. Why is that the case? Why is that the case?
I mean, it's just a beautiful technique, isn't it? Like stop motion. Um, I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that, but for me, and just in my own opinion, I think it's just a beautiful technique, like I said, and the ability of, you know, collaborating with people on set is something that's nice about it. Because, you know, when, let's say, working on CGI or like 3D or 2D animation, those are things that, you know, you could probably do on your own or even online. You know, nowadays, a lot of companies are doing a hybrid, especially after the pandemic. You know, they're like, oh, actually, people can work from home. But with stop motion, it's like, it's not the case. You have to be in the same space because you have different people from different departments coming together and doing their, you know, their job for that specific project. But in terms of like the art form itself, it just looks different as well. You know, it's something that I really loved about stop motion. It's like it's real, but it's not real. And you can tell the difference. I didn't know about stop motion till like 4 or 5 years ago, when I was looking for references for an animation that I was working on. And then I saw Norman from Paranorman, the film done by Leica. I was like, I love this style. And I was trying to figure out what style it was. And that's, you know, that's when my world got shook. They're like, oh, wow, there's something called stop motion. And you can actually make puppets and move them frame by frame. And I was just mind blown. It's amazing.
And again, the art of it is, I can imagine part of the reason why you want to do it is, you know, again, the collaboration with other people as well. Talk to us about the process again, because I'm so intrigued by it. And I think, you know, there's so much to take from this. Talk to us about a typical process with a team, how that works, how other people contribute, and so on.
With stop motion?
Yeah, sorry, with stop motion, I beg your pardon.
So with stop motion, you know, you have people from different departments. They're like people in just making puppets. And even that in itself, maybe there are people who are dealing with hair, just hair alone, or like fur. And it's just like clothes. It's all like different people in each department. There's like a variety of people involved. There's like the camera department, there's the light department. So much more. I can't. It's like right now. It's like everything's coming in my mind. It's like a typical. I say typical, but it's like being in a live action set.
Yeah,
you know.
it sounds like it. Yeah.
But the only difference here is that instead of having actors, you have animators who are moving the characters. That's why I think it's important as well for these animators to understand how the body moves in terms of like acting and performance, you know, because they're basically the actors. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same where you have teams from pre-production. You have the production team who brings the team together in different departments and keeps the project going, you know, make sure that the wheels are moving. And then you have the directing people in the directing team, and so on and so forth. And then back to post-production, people who put the clips together, and then comes to sound design and maybe some color grading. And yeah.
Yeah, it really does sound like a full film set. I've had the privilege of going into a set and seeing how it's put together. And I have to admit, I was mesmerized when I saw everything. And I thought, okay, so this is what you guys get up to. And again, the attention to detail was the one thing that I noticed. So tell me, with the past year, with the pandemic, how's it been? How have you had to deal with everything?
So here in Qatar, it was, at some point it was actually bad in terms of the pandemic. It's a small country. And even so, I think in our production house, I think it was an advantage for us because clients within the country, instead of going outside to outsource for production companies, they were actually just hiring people who were here. And it opened doors for collaboration with like different clients, and you just really had to always put the well-being and health of people, like that had to be your priority, because being on a film set, like I said, it's all about teamwork, and it's like you help each other out, but then now you have to like set some rules and protocols. It's like, only our department gets to touch our stuff, only our department, and I mean, overall, I think it was still good in terms of production. Obviously, there were some adjustments that we had to do. We had to make sure that people were getting their PCR tests done. And a lot of it, and now actually thinking about it, because I work on a lot of commercials, we were required to have people were required to wear masks throughout, like even the talents. So even in the films, like you would see them wearing masks just because you don't want to risk it. I know everyone's trying to create something amazing, but then in the end, if you find out that someone got COVID because of your film production, it kind of doesn't make you feel good. That's the last thing that you'd want to happen. But, I'd say business stuff aside, during the pandemic, that's when I realized, there's a lot of reflecting. And that's when I thought, what, I want to do something for myself. And because I was always into animation, stop motion in particular, and then suddenly there was an opportunity from Aardman Academy to learn stop motion. That's when I studied stop motion. And so beginning of 2021, I actually went to the UK. I was there for a couple of months. I learned about stop motion, and it's the best thing I've ever done in the past, let's say 5-8 years. I wouldn't say that my experience as a producer in live action was terrible at all. Like, I've met a lot of amazing people. I've worked with a lot of amazing crew, but it's still different when you're actually following what you're passionate about. And that, just creating something, even though it takes a lot of your time and it's so stressful, and sometimes you just feel like giving up, but then you look at it and you look at the end product, and then you're like, wow, this is all worth it. And it just makes you feel good. And then you're just motivated and inspired to keep going and keep moving forward. And that's where I am now, that even though I'm back here in Qatar, I feel like, I know that I have it within myself to keep writing, to keep creating, to keep telling stories, stories that would change people's lives in a way, or just not even in that. It's just like to tell stories, to entertain in whatever way, like, because I wouldn't say all of my films or all of the ideas that I come up with is like something like, oh, I want to change people's lives. It's sometimes I just want to make people laugh. I want to make people think about what's going on. So it really depends, but you really just have to keep pushing yourself and just be open to the fact that, even though you think that you're in a stable position now, learning is a great thing. You're always going to keep learning. And by learning, you get to get more inspired and motivated to do new things. I feel like, you just have to keep pushing yourself. It's like, what are you actually capable of becoming? And you wouldn't know that until you start questioning yourself. So yeah, I feel like that's a lot.
That's incredible. No, it's incredible. Your passion definitely comes through, and your love for storytelling and wanting to inspire people, and also just to help people to feel better about themselves. And that's a very noble position to begin with. And, from there, really, you can go on to do some great things. And speaking of positions, I think being in a country like Qatar, which is the epicenter of media in the Middle East, I think that gives you a good position to reach out and to network with so many people. Talk to us about life in Qatar and the advantages of being there, especially with some great media agencies based there.
So here in Qatar, I think, the film industry is only thriving. It's not big right now, but there's so much potential. And there are actually a lot of storytellers and filmmakers who keep making films here. It's beautiful in its own way. It's just the desert's amazing, and there's a lot of interesting landscapes. Not a lot of trees, but it's not a bad thing. But in terms of film industry in itself, because it's still growing, I think it's a great place for anyone to just come and just explore. Someone once told me that just recently, actually, it's always good to jump in a place where the industry is not as big just yet, because you could also be part of that growth, which is a great feeling. So for me, I feel like I've contributed somehow in the film industry here in Qatar. And, I have a lot of students who still come to me asking for advice, and it just feels great. I wouldn't say that I've been in the film industry. I haven't been in the film industry for like 10, 15 years. I probably, sometimes I even wonder, am I actually the right person for people to come to and ask me for advice? But as long as I'm being honest to them and giving them the advice that I think is worth it, then why not? But it does make me feel great, or it makes me feel good knowing that I've shared some of my knowledge to these people who want to keep creating, especially in this place where the industry is slowly still developing and growing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great to have somebody like you as a source of inspiration, and also someone to reach out to. And that's something that we all deal with in terms of the imposter syndrome. Everybody deals with that. It's part and parcel of life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how you deal with setbacks, where you might be working on a stop motion program, perhaps, and that little mistake will cost you 4 hours. How do you deal with that?
I think you just remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, because there are people who think that they actually like what they're doing, and there are people who think who just like the idea of it. But if you actually enjoy and like what you're doing, no matter how difficult it gets, you're just gonna keep doing it. And it's fine to make mistakes, because that's the best way to learn. No one's perfect. You're always gonna trip here and there, and it's only gonna teach you, next time this is something that you should do, or something that you could explore, something you could try, so that you don't make the same mistake, you don't go through the same hiccup again. And again, that's just the best way to learn. So don't be afraid. Honestly, if you make a mistake, just smile, keep moving forward. And it's kind of funny to hear myself saying this, because a few months ago I was even telling my mentor, there were times where I felt like I couldn't do it at all, regardless of how many times I tried it, which is a walk cycle. A walk cycle is one of the hardest things to do. And I remember going from the living room to the bedroom, and then just laying flat on the bed. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it. And then just 10 seconds later, I'm like, no, I have to keep going. And then you stand up again, and then you do it. And then a couple hours later, once you've done it, you totally forget what happened just a few hours ago, how you thought you couldn't do it. Because now you see it, you've done it, and you're like, wow, great job. So I think people should just acknowledge the fact that making mistakes is fine, and it's just a way for you to learn in a different way.
That's excellent advice. Definitely, make mistakes, and it's just another way to learn. I like that. What does a typical day consist of for you?
Now where I work at.
Yeah.
Oh, so I come to the office, drink my coffee. No, I'm joking. So
Yeah, this is what we want to know.
yeah, I come here, look at my emails, look at my phone, drink my
Yeah.
coffee. No, so I come to the office and it's just talking to clients if we have any projects going on, just making sure that we're moving forward. Maybe it means like, let's say a project just got greenlit. So now I have to go contact talent agencies and look for talents for this particular project, contact crew and pencil them or lock them and say, are you available during these dates? Make sure that the equipment that the team needs are all booked as well. And yeah, it's just securing everything that you need for our production just ahead of time as well, because there are other productions going on. The last thing you want to hear is that the equipment that you need or the talents that your clients actually liked are no longer available. So you just have to be on your A game, just going at it, and at the same time, he's like, don't really get stressed out. I know it's difficult to not get stressed, but I feel like once you let the stress overcome you, it's like, that's it. You're going to be in panic mode. Just trust yourself that what you're doing is right, that things are under control, and things will just flow. So that's how my day is like, to be honest. And then comes the production. Maybe we have a shoot. Maybe it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and then production happens. And then if we're ever now in post-production, come back to the office. And then this time, instead of dealing with the pre-production and production crew, now I talk to the post-production team, where there's, talk to the editor, to the colorist, the sound designer, VFX people, whoever's involved in that particular project. And that's it. It's just really overseeing the production from beginning till delivery.
Yeah. And it's great advice, because our audience here will be working on some projects along with the activities that they're doing on their virtual work experience. And part of that is seeing projects through from start to finish. So hearing your story and hearing your day will be a nice reminder for them as well. And, it is part of the working world to work on projects. So at least they can see some value to it, especially hearing your story. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're already coming towards the end. What final words would you like to leave our audience with?
Got a lot, but I guess I'll go with final. Oh my God, it's like I have so much going on in my head. It's like the pressure is on. I guess it's I don't even know where to begin. Just don't be afraid to knock on doors and to reach out to people, especially now. It's like now with the pandemic, I feel like people are always on their social media platforms or on LinkedIn or checking their emails, that it's so much easier for people to reach out, to respond to you as well. But basically what I'm trying to say is create the opportunities for yourself. You know how people say, oh, there's always going to be an opportunity coming your way, but you have to make sure that you're making it available for yourself. An opportunity is not just going to land on your table. Like, don't expect that you're going to be spoon-fed. You literally have to go and look for those things, and people will know when you're trying to really, achieve something. If you're trying to, let's say, work for, let's say, Disney, if you're trying to work for Pixar, if you're trying to work for Netflix, make sure that you're actually doing something about it and not just sitting down and waiting. Otherwise, it's never going to come your way. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's just so great just hearing the things that you've had to share with us today. You know, when I think about everything that you just said, for me, to sum it all up, you know, you're fearless. You're absolutely fearless. You don't allow fear to stop you. You know, they say fear is false evidence appearing real. And if you can think beyond that, the things that you can achieve are incredible. And not being afraid to put out there your talent and what it is you've been gifted with. And you've clearly done that. And also, to underline all of that, your passion and desire is to work with people, to help change people, shape people's ways of thinking, to put hope in people, and ultimately even just to make them smile. And I think you've done that. And just hearing your story here today is an absolute joy. So I just want to say a huge thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk to us today. Before I let you go, how can our audience connect with you?
Honestly, feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter. I'm pretty much active. It's just my first name, Jemina_Legaspi. So it's easy to find me. And yeah, I'm here to just hear other people's stories. And if they just want to natter and just chat, I'll be around.
Incredible. Jemina, just want to say a huge thank you again. And I hope we can have you back on again very soon. Thank you for staying up late in Qatar just to make sure we could do this. So thank you. So from Jemina, from myself, from all the team here at the Change in Education Group, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.